Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Rookie Card Collector 123 video. In today's video, I wanted to start sharing my collection, which I've been accumulating now since 2021. So about 5 years or so with this current collection that I have. And I was trying to think of the best way to present things and not just random format. So what I came up with was I've sort of divided the collection, all the baseball cards I have, plus a few other miscellaneous items, into what I would classify as different segments of the collection. I've used that concept before with some of my previous collections. Back in 2004 to 2014 for the 10 years period or so when I was collecting Baseball Hall of Fame rookies. I broke everything down into segments where I would have a player segment of the collection, then I would have a manager's segment for the managers that were in the Hall of Fame. I had an umpires segment, I had a Negro League players segment, and I had a executives and pioneers segment. And I tried to allot resources to all 5 of those different areas as far as collecting Baseball Hall of Famers. It seems like one simple task, but when it comes down to it, you're spread out in a lot of different directions, and that kind of kept me focused. One at a time, I would focus on the umpires or the Negro Leaguers or the executives / pioneers, and so on. So the collection that I started in 2021, as is the case with many of you guys, my interest and my focus has changed quite a few times over the past 5 years or so. And like a lot of others, I think all the YouTube videos being put out by content creators is probably at least partially responsible for that. As I see items there that collectors are acquiring and look really cool, really neat items, and it becomes like, I'd like to have that card as well, and I'd like to have that item as well. So what my initial focus was back in 2021, first thing I'm going to mention is at that time, the money part of it played a bigger role in it for me. So first and foremost, in 2021, when I started collecting, everything I bought, for the most part, was with the initial investment side of things in mind. And then I kind of went from there as far as what I liked and what players to collect and stuff like that. But everything was collected with an eye towards, the dollar value aspect of it. Hoping in the long run that, the value of the cards I was buying would increase as opposed to decrease, which I'm sure is common for just about everybody. But in my financial situation, it was more important than maybe for some other people. So anyway, 2021, my main focus was primarily falling back on my previous history, Hall of Fame rookie cards. This time, though, instead of trying to collect everybody in the Hall of Fame, which is what I did back during that 2004 to 2014 time period, I just opted to do basically what I would consider the GOATs of each sport. And once I had all the GOATs, I started to kind of work my way down slowly from the inner circle, best of the best Hall of Famers, and then kind of work down from there. Until the funds, the whole reason this all began in 2021, the previous collection I was doing after 2014 for the next 6 years until 2020 was all Negro League material. And 2021, when the market was at a peak, I decided it was time, that was probably going to be the best time ever to sell that Negro League collection to maximize my return on it. So I sold everything I had in Negro League material in 2021, which I was collecting for the previous 6 years, and used the funds for that to start this current collection, which began, like I said, with the GOATs. And not only baseball, but I wanted to spread my resources out. So I was doing not only baseball goats, but also football, basketball, hockey, and soccer was starting to become a much more prominent collector sport. So I also jumped in on a few key soccer cards as well. And I thought about boxing. I never actually made the purchase. I think Muhammad Ali would have probably been the one boxing card that I would have gone after, but I never did that. So anyway, 2021, all five of those sports, I was picking up all the top players, just a rookie card, usually one of each. And like I said, working my way down from the inner circle down to, I would say above mid-level Hall of Famers until I used up all the funds that I had from the Negro League sales. So I did that. A little bit of money that I had set aside, or I wanted to diversify a little more even. I put a little bit of money into modern stuff, which ended up being a really bad decision back in 2021. Because the peak of the market at that time involved and subsequent crash of the market involved more modern cards than anything else. Not as much of the vintage stuff. So unfortunately, everything modern that I bought, I would end up selling and losing a lot of money on that. So I guess I kind of learned my lesson. I don't deal in modern anymore at all. Just zero. And just focus on the vintage that I know much better. So 2022, 2023, 2024, over those years, my interest kind of went back and forth. I've always stuck with the Hall of Fame rookie concepts. I gradually gravitated mostly back to baseball, which was my original area of collecting. I still picked up a few football, basketball things here and there, and nothing more in soccer than what I originally had. Nothing really more in hockey either. And that was my collection, like I said, for the past 5 years or so. In the last couple of years, I've started to go in a couple of other directions, which I was not doing before. So last night when I started looking at the collection, how best to present it on YouTube in some sort of a format. In the past, I've not really shown too much of my PC stuff, but now I've, just this year, 2026, I've also given up my role as a sports card dealer, which I've done since, I would say, 2022. So maybe 4 years or so, I was a dealer doing a lot of the local shows down here in Florida, as well as some of the bigger national shows, Strongsville, the National, and a couple of other bigger shows, but mainly local Florida shows down here, which are kind of small. And between being a dealer and stuff and carrying my inventory around all over, I was kind of hesitant and reluctant to, show a lot of things on my channel. And now I've got everything off-site. I just have pictures of everything on my laptop. So, the security part of it, because of insurance and everything, and the fact I'm not dealing anymore, I feel comfortable now showing things and talking about them, how I acquired them, the origin, things like that, which before I would primarily show my inventory type of cards and a few personal collection items here and there. So anyway, like I said, I wanted to start presenting, and I thought this various segmenting concept would be the best way to go. So what I did was I broke down the collection that I have now. It's a very small collection. Actually, if I counted piece by piece, it's a little bit under 100 cards. That's my entire collection at this point. I've sold off all my dealer inventory. All that stuff is gone. So very small, easy to manage collection. And I have it broken down into 9 segments, 9 current segments. There was a 10th segment, which was a pretty major piece of the collection for a couple of years. And last year, I finally decided I was going to move on from that. And that area was the golden era oddball cards, which included a lot of the food issues and complete boxes and uncut panels and lots of stuff, mainly from the 50s, 60s, 70s era. And I was collecting primarily the big name guys, like many collectors do. So most of what I had was Mantles, Clementes, Aarons, and Mazes. And I decided I had quite a bit of them. I was just kind of starting to. It wasn't as interesting anymore after a couple of years doing that, and I decided I wanted to expand my pre-war collection more than I wanted to keep acquiring these oddball type of items. So little by little over the last year or so, year and a half maybe, I started selling them off, and as of now, they're all gone. And I've moved on to, like I said, my primary focus is definitely pre-war, pre-1948 Bowman, almost everything I have, and also almost strictly baseball as opposed to the other sports. I'm not actively collecting anything football, basketball, hockey, or soccer anymore. So I'm just going to go over briefly the 9 different segments that I've separated my collection into. And one by one, I'm going to do is feature one segment per video in upcoming episodes and show my things in that manner. So for now, I'm just going to summarize and just give you an idea of what these segments are. So the first one is going to be probably the most obvious for me. It's my Hall of Fame rookie card collection, and it's baseball Hall of Fame rookie cards. And not everyone is going to be an actual true rookie card, and not everyone is going to necessarily be a rookie. But my purpose when I bought the card was for that reason, because it falls into the Hall of Fame rookie segment of my collecting. The second one is going to be, I just labeled it iconic cards. Those are the ones that everybody's familiar with, everybody's seen. Nowadays, it seems like the ones everybody wants and everybody's trying to collect. And also the ones where the prices these days seem to be much stronger. Third one I have is my autographed, what I have it listed as autographed cataloged cards. And not all these would really be considered cards, but anything that's in the standard catalog of vintage baseball cards that I have, which has been signed by a ball player, I grouped into that segment. The fourth segment I have is the autographed Type 1 photos. And everything I have autographed, both the catalog cards as well as Type 1 photos, for the most part, every single one of these is PSA authenticated. Much as we all have issues with the grading companies and PSA, they're the one I would trust amongst the other candidates when it comes to authenticating autographs. So just about everything I have is going to be PSA authenticated. I have a couple of things right now that have JSA certs, and they're actually currently at PSA for way too many months now, but that's a whole nother story. Being moved over from JSA certs to PSA encapsulated. So once I get those back eventually, everything should be in PSA holders. Next one I have is the rare and low population cards. Again, my focus is pre-war, so almost everything that fits in that category is going to be pre-1948. Next category I have is 19th century cards. That's pretty self-explanatory. Anything before 1900. I have a very, very small collection of those right now. Next category I have is Inner Circle Hall of Famers. They're, for the most part, they're just about the only players I'm collecting these days. Like I said, back in 2004 to 2014, when I did the Hall of Fame rookie collection originally, I was collecting every single Hall of Famer. And believe it or not, oftentimes I ended up having to spend a lot more money for some obscure Hall of Famers that maybe don't even deserve to be in the Hall of Fame than I did have to spend on some of the other Inner Circle guys. So over time and shelling out that kind of money for some guys that, I barely really cared about, but it was part of the Hall of Fame collection, so I had to have them. I decided to just stick with the inner circle guys that I really like collecting. The next segment I have is Negro Leagues, which I've already done a 6-year collection exclusively doing that. And I had some really, really great items. And having owned all those before at, much lower market prices than they are today, I don't really have the burning desire anymore to try to go back and reacquire some of those pieces. The market is so crazy now, and I've already kind of been there and done that. So I've only got a couple of Negro League pieces, a very small part of my collection. And the last segment, the 9th segment, is going to be, I just labeled it Other Sports Cards, which means football, basketball, and hockey. And like I mentioned before, I sold off just about everything from the other those other 4 sports, as well as soccer. I actually have 1 football card, 1 basketball card, and 1 hockey card in my collection. So when that episode pops up, I'll show those 3 cards and I'll explain why I chose to keep those 3 and sell off everything else. So anyway, that's kind of a preview of what's to come in upcoming videos. Some of these segments in my collection are going to be a bigger chunk of the overall collection. Some of them are very small. Like I mentioned, a couple of these segments are only going to have 2 or 3 cards. So those will probably be very short, quick videos. Some of the others will be more involved, and I'll try to go into the stories of how I acquired them and what they mean to me and why I'm collecting those, that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for more rookie card collector videos coming up. I'll break everything down into those 9 areas. Hopefully you guys will enjoy that. And I'm going to have pictures of everything in the collection. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Have a great day, and I'll catch you guys again on the next one.